Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me well. And so welcome to Barcelona, to those in the room and to those that are following on live. Thanks for joining this last session of the day. So looking forward for the cocktail afterwards. So today we are here to tell us a story. So we are in Barcelona, during this Ocean Decade Week to discuss about solutions-oriented, transformative ocean science. And data collection and data analysis are key enablers for ocean science and ocean data innovations. Data integration and data interoperability are needed. In this session today, we'll start hearing by our keynote speaker from the European Commission about what the European research landscape is doing to support the blue economy. In these years of artificial intelligence, quality data is fundamental to ensure that the applications that are built to reproduce ocean life are accurate and build on trustable and comparable data and reusable data. So we will start our story today by calling on stage speakers from two of the many projects that are working to harmonize data sets and release data products that are working to describe the current state of plankton communities and forecast their evolution, but also application for fish detection and classification as examples of scientific application relying on data products released in a fair environment. But then data sharing, we know, requires training, knowledge exchange, good practices, and that's why we will have also on stage representatives from the Ocean Best Practices Systems and from the Ocean Teacher Global Academy, which are working on practices and training to distribute this knowledge across the global community. And last, our story will end up with those who are working to support the creation of digital twins of the ocean. So we'll welcome on our concluding discussion those representatives of the European Digital Twins of the Ocean European program and the counterpart at the global level, the DITO program. So my name is Sara Pittonet. I forget to tell you this. I'm the coordinator of one of the initiatives that is joining together and joining efforts today to bring you this session, which is Blue Cloud. You'll hear more later. I welcome you all, and I give the floor to our keynote, Andrea Strachinescu, yes, for a keynote speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for having me here today for opening of this important session. I think in general, when we speak about data, it's for all of us here in the room, it's something obvious. It's shaping our life, it's influencing and allowing us to develop. What we need is for sure that all of these are going beyond our community. And this means supporting policies, but also supporting businesses. What we are doing at the level of the European Union, this project, Blue Cloud 2026, it's fully aware, and not only, we are building a community, and we are building also, I would say, a framework for the future. We have important initiatives like European Marine Observation and Data Network and Copernicus Marine that started working together with Horizon Europe towards the development of the European digital twin of the ocean. Nevertheless, there are a lot of other initiatives around and projects. I think that what is the most important, and we have this in mind, is how we are bringing all of this together and we work together. Through the, of course, EMONET, Copernicus, Horizon Europe, we are ensuring the financing for the period up to 2027. What we have probably, and this should be for sure, in link with the developments of the decade, is to be certain that ocean is high on the political agenda. We have to have ocean on the political priorities as much as we have land now. And all of this can happen if we have one single voice, we work together. Through the European Digital Twin, we want to bring together various projects, and sometimes there are fragmented initiatives. We want to ensure a legacy and also a continuation for this. It's quite often, I would say, that there are good projects that are happening and they are staying isolated. We need to cut this isolation, and the European Digital Twin can do this. But for sure, we need, first of all, beyond sharing, I would say, among us, the community, that we know what is important, why and for what is important, the ocean observation in order to have data, the development of the digital twin. We need to have this shared broader, I would say, beyond the community. We know very well that if we have data, we can have all the developments of the blue economy happening and the prosperity of the blue economy. It's linked quite a lot what we can have through the development of marine data of the marine and the marine knowledge general system, with all the developments that are happening at sea. Also the, I would say, the well-defined maritime special planning, and also the licensing of the activities at sea. But again, we need this to be more shared. You are probably aware, but in Europe, we don't have a framework for ocean observation. In each country, we have various communities that are observing according to their own rules, and quite often we do not share. So this is an important part, because observation is the base of getting the data. But for this, again, we need to speak with one voice. We need to press for what is important in this landscape to happen. So I really hope that for these collaborations that we are going to hear today are going to be strengthened, not only at European Union level, but also at international level. Everybody says it's already probably already old-fashioned, it's on one ocean, but it is indeed one ocean. And we need to work together, especially when we speak about data, in order to be certain that we are sharing standards, we are sharing practices, we ensure that data speaks to data. So let's make collaboration our, I would say, key priority, and then I think we can achieve a lot together. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Andreas Drachinescu is the head of unit of the Directorate General for Maritime Affairs and Fisheries at the European Commission. So it's really a pleasure to have you with us today. Okay, now we're starting this journey with the first of the 3 discussions that we are having. So I call on stage Dix Harp from MARIS, and acting also as technical coordinator of Blue Cloud 2026. You can take a seat. And Oriol Prat from the University, Polytechnical University of Catalonia, who is representing today the iMagine project. Yeah, you can see there, yeah. Microphone should work, yeah. So we will start the discussion with 2 questions that I'll ask both of you. So the first one relates to the science that these projects are bringing with respect to responding to the Sustainable Development Goals. So how do the services for observing the abundance of zooplankton developed in Blue Cloud and the fishery detection techniques developed in iMagine contribute to achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals? So I'll give first the floor to Dick.
Yeah, I will not give direct answer to this question, but I first want to give a small introduction. What is Blue Cloud? And of course, how then we are fulfilling these requirements of the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, first of all, Blue Cloud. Blue Cloud is what we try to do is to support open science And with open science, we mean that we can do collaborative science with multidisciplinary scientists and also multidisciplinary data. And this way, let's say, are able, let's say, to tackle the complex challenges that we have in ocean management and in understanding the ecosystem. And for this, the Blue Cloud, it federates data, it federates algorithms, it federates computing resources. And it means in practice that we are building and we are developing and we are also, let's say, operating and managing and offering three core services. One is a federated data discovery and access service, and that works together with AWOODNet. It works together with Copernicus Marine. It also works together with the research infrastructures, but also with international resources. And it gives a common discovery and access mechanism. The second one is that we work on a virtual research environment, and there we federated different e-infrastructures, which are already, let's say, existing in Europe, but we bring them together, we integrate them, and we provide them with computing resources, storage, but also with several analytical functionalities, which can then be made available for researchers to develop workflows, analytical processes, using the data, using the computing, and using the algorithms and the functionality. And this way we are developing a portfolio of analytical processes, analytical solutions, which is all based upon multidisciplinary approach, bringing together different scientists, different data types, and trying to tackle part of the big puzzle, let's say, that we have, if we want to manage and also predict and forecast how we can manage the better management for the seas and the oceans. If you look at one of those, let's say that's what I want to zoom in a little bit, not zoo, but zoom. It's zooplankton and phytoplankton, EOV. Now, if you look at the phytoplankton, it's very important. Let's say if you look worldwide, it's half of our energy, our oxygen, in fact, comes from phytoplankton, and also it's a major part of the food web. So it's in fact at the basis of the food web, and also zooplankton is also part of that food web. It's a major. So it means that if we can predict and if we can follow the let's say the population and the status of the zoo and phytoplankton, we really, let's say, have a better understanding, and then we can also see if this is changing over time, and then what we can do to and the evolution what is happening. Now, if you look at this, this is one of the what we call virtual labs that we have in the Blue Cloud, and this has generated three services. One is what we call zooplankton, to generate zooplankton products, and in fact these are maps, gridded maps, for 6 different zooplankton species, and especially for the Northeast Atlantic. So it gives you, let's say, the evolution and the status of this. Secondly, we have a global ocean 3-dimensional key phytoplankton product, which is around chlorophyll A. And chlorophyll A is a proxy, in fact, for the, let's say, the biomass of phytoplankton. And finally, there are also, let's say, interactions, let's say, interactions between phyto and zooplankton. And they can be used also with near real-time data, so you can follow evolution in the real time. This is very useful, and now I come, in fact, to the question. The Sustainable Development Goals. I already said, let's say, the importance of zoo and phytoplankton in general or overall. And it means, of course, if we have this insight, if we have these models and these tools, and we are able to better predict and follow the communities, then we can serve fishery advisory organizations, because they know they are looking at food resources, and these are very much depending on the plankton developments. There is marine policy officers. They have to look at at the food insecurity and the threats and see what. And finally, there's fundamental research, and that means that in practice of the Sustainable Development Goals, we're talking about number 13, which is climate action, and we're also talking about number 14, which is life below sea level. And those are, let's say, in fact, an answer to your question. So I give now the floor to my colleague.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Uriel Prat, and together with my colleagues Paul Baños and Enaco Martinez, we are from UPC, Political University of Catalonia. And I'm going to talk about fish detection and classification at OPSI. OPSI is an underwater observatory which is located near from Barcelona, and is 4 kilometers from the coast and 20 meters deep. There are many sensors, many data, such as temperature, pressure, salinity, and so on. But also we have 3 different cameras in which we store image data since 2011. And then we're going to do science with that, fish abundance, behavior studies, and stuff like that. And well, the traditional way to monitor the ecosystems is not useful as today, because once you have the data, the image data, then you have to count in an image every single individual, and then store this data, these detections in an Excel or tools like that, to finally get this abundance time series and do correlations with another species or from different variables like temperature. But nowadays, instead of counting manually, we have some artificial intelligence models, algorithms, that do these tasks for us in a semi-automatical way. So, in this case, we use YOLO V8, which is a great model. And then we have the predictions. We have to label some data. I mean, if we have thousands of images, we have to label this, for example, 20% of the image, we have to label it. I mean, this is species, this is another. And then the model is capable to learn patterns and stuff like that. And then we store all this information in some way to finally get this abundance time series and do science with that. This is important because nowadays the scientists can do science and not count fish, which is efficiently. Let's see some results. I don't know here. You can know. I think if you can with the cursor. Play.
Maybe I don't know. No, it doesn't work. Sorry.
Well, there are 2 videos of inference of these detections, but not in images, but in a video, which is detection frame per frame. And I think it's really cool, but don't worry.
No, but there is a link to YouTube, so slides will be made available. So I don't know, maybe they're seeing if it works.
This don't work.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Thanks.
If you can put the resolution better, maybe. Well, this is detections frame per frame, and if you see the number in the corner, it's the precision that this species is really this Diplodocus argus or Chromis. And we already have this in real time, which is also useful. You can,
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks. And if we go back to the
Yeah.
slides. Yeah. Okay.
And well, what kind of applications have these in the Sustainable Development Goals? The climate action, which is obviously because we detect that fish communities are changed because of the temperature, and we detect that because we have data since 2011, and also is related with the number 14, with life below water, because we think that it's super important to monitor the ecosystem, and with this monitor we can know the health of that, and also determine the impact of the marine protected areas, which is, I think, in my opinion, super important to preserve the life below water. And that's all. Thank you very much. And I hope
Thanks,
you enjoy it.
Maybe I don't know if you want to expand a little bit on the data management aspects that the zoophytoplankton virtual lab of Blue
Yeah.
Cloud is also addressing.
Now, in general, it's already said, let's say data management is very important, and it's also important that we do it in a fair way. A fair way means that we try to document the data as good as possible from the source, from origin up till, let's say, the further workflow. And then all the steps that we are processing, quality controlling, all these things have to be documented. And also doing that in a standardized way, so that we are using vocabularies as much as possible, which also allows machines to interact with the data and not only human. So you speak the, let's say, one language by using controlled terms. And if you look at the approach that we do in the Blue Cloud, in Blue Cloud, in fact, we are using so-called authoritative resources. So we make use of the, let's say, the major leading blue data infrastructures that already undertake a lot of work to have very good data management and have very good documentation and fairness. And we bring together also excellent scientists who are really, let's say, master in their field. And we provide them, in fact, with the necessary tools, which is big computing, certain software or whatever. So all kinds of things that they need to get a better interaction, a better collaboration together, and not only, let's say, sitting around in one room, but also doing it, let's say, in a remote way. And then having, in fact, also applications like artificial intelligence, machine-to-machine interactions as very useful tools to be able to achieve these higher goals.
About data management.
Yep.
Well, I don't really know the answer because I mean I'm doing the tasks to apply this artificial intelligence model in our data, and we are part of Imagine project. Well, there are servers in which we have all the stuff that we, I mean, how to do it. We have the model there, but we are not doing the management data.
Because I'm also in the same project, the Imagine project. I'm the scientific coordinator of that project. And what we do, in fact, in that project is the same philosophy. We have a so-called workbench. So there's a platform where there are already AI models and AI, let's say, services by which you can develop, test, and operate, deploy models. So that's one way. And there also is a provenance chain, so you can follow the data through the different steps. And another thing is that we work with training data sets, what was already explained. And these training data sets, we are now making them also available, let's say, for the public, with the labels, so that other people can use them and also can see how it has been done. And that's, again, also a cooperation with the Ocean Best Practices, because we also want to make best practices coming out of this process, so that other people can, in fact, follow the same procedure, go to the same platform, make use of it, but also follow what already people have achieved by following these steps, and then in a very educative way. And then we expect that there will be much more uptake of new AI in this way, that you get a breakthrough, and that's gaining momentum and a learning curve, more or less. And that's the good thing, in fact, to make a jump. Of course, best practices are really important as part of the standards and the way that we do our work. Because the more best practice we adopt, the easier we can work together. And as was already pointed out by Andrea, let's say we have to do it together. And if we use the same rules or the same practices, then that makes it much easier as a starter.
Thanks. So while we thank the first speakers and we slowly move to a more global effort, I want to show you a video. It's a short one that was prepared by FAO, who has been a long-lasting partner in many of the initiatives that you can see here, and of Blue Cloud in particularly. And it summarizes a little bit the effort that FAO is bringing towards digital innovation and in particularly data management applications, and some of the example of the analytical tools that they're also developing. The video was shared by Mark Takone, team leader of the Information Management Knowledge Team at FAO Fisheries and Aquaculture Division.
Access to reliable and updated data and information is critical for effective management, conservation, regulation, and utilization of marine resources. Over the years, through the establishment of robust standards and methods for data collection, FAO has remained firm in its commitment to improving the reliability, comparability, standardization and accessibility of fisheries and aquaculture data. Leveraging a broad network of member countries, regional fishery bodies and research organisations. FAO is involved in every step of the fishery data production chain, supporting partners in delivering timely, reliable and accessible fishery data for informed policy making. Since 1960, FAO has led the Coordinating Working Party that establishes common standards and definitions for data collection among entities and organisations working on fishery and aquaculture statistics. FAO assists members in gathering accurate data for SDG Indicator 14.4.1, proportion of fish stocks within biological sustainable levels, and supports regional fishery bodies in assessing shared stocks. FAO has developed digital platforms used at national, regional and global level to streamline data collection, access and dissemination of catch statistics or global fishery stock data. This is facilitating informed decision-making at each level and promoting sustainable fisheries management. Here are some of our digital platforms. Calypso is a web-based platform that helps national fisheries authorities integrate and streamline the management of fisheries data and the production, analysis and reporting of fisheries statistics. WICAFIS is a regional information system collecting fleet, catch and effort data from Western Central Atlantic Fisheries Commission's members. It integrates fishery stock status and trends information from the Fishery and Resources Monitoring System, supporting regional assessments and management plans. FAO supports similar systems for other regions and their respective regional management organisations in the Near East, North Africa, the Mediterranean and the Black Sea, and in the West African countries bordering the Gulf of Guinea. The Global Tuna Atlas is a database that compiles catch statistics of tuna and tuna-like species from FAO partners worldwide. It employs standardized methodologies and IT protocols to ensure accurate and timely data. This resource supports research including on tuna fisheries dynamics, climate change impacts, and fisheries management options. This user-friendly map viewer allows users to visualize and analyze information on global fish stocks, fishing activities, and managed fisheries validated by the partners of the Fisheries Resources Monitoring System. The global record of stocks and fisheries enables knowledge development on assessed fish stocks at a global level. It sets standards for identifying unique stocks, publishes validated stocks with a digital unique identifier, allowing data exchange among different systems. Its catalogue holds information on over 2,500 fish stocks worldwide. FishStat is an open portal offering data searchable by year, country, species and FAO major fishing area since 1950. It includes global and regional production, processed production, imports and exports of aquatic products, aquatic food consumption, fleet and employment data. The State of World Fisheries and Aquaculture, SOFIA, provides essential analyses and insights into the fisheries and aquaculture sector, empowering decision-makers to adopt informer policies. Now digitised, its datasets are accessible in an open electronic format. FAO has digitised capacity building efforts by designing e-learning courses to assist members in their monitoring and reporting responsibilities. Our courses cover a wide range of topics, including fishery statistics methodologies, data management and analysis, encompassing various stages of the data production chain. Designed for fisheries officers, policymakers, RFB and RFMO members, scientists and data analysts, this course offers key concepts and methods for analysing and reporting on SDG Indicator 14.4.1, proportion of fish stocks within biologically sustainable levels. Participants gain hands-on experience in stock assessment through virtual research simulations. FAO leads digital innovation to support sustainable fisheries and ecosystems. We provide data solutions in line with the FAIR principles to improve the findability, accessibility, interoperability and reusability of data, paving the way for the ocean we want.
Okay, thank you. And now I'm glad to invite on stage Rebecca Zitun, coordinator of the OBPS Ocean Decade Program, Ocean Practices for the Decade, and Anna Carolina Mazzucco, Ocean Teacher Global Academy Secretariat of the UNESCO IOC Program Office of YODI.
I'd like to call my colleague, Greg Reed, also to join the table. Thanks, Greg. We can get another chair.
Okay, so as well, I have a couple of introductory questions to facilitate a little bit the chat. And I'll start by asking to Rebecca first, what key best practices are there for global ocean research, data management and applications as exemplified by the Ocean Best Practices System and other initiatives? Can you provide example of successful implementation of best practices in real-world ocean research project or initiatives?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for these questions. And before I answer them, to make actually sense of my answer, I probably have to explain what the Ocean Best Practice System is and what we're doing. So the Ocean Best Practice System, just going a bit back to give you some context, was established in 2016 and then got adopted by the IOC in 2019 and is actually sponsored by GOOS and IOD. And I'm the co-chair of the Ocean Best Practice System. And then in 2021, we also started the Ocean Practices for the Decade program, which is an UN-endorsed program, and I'm the co-lead of this. So everything that has to do with best practices in the Ocean Decade comes pretty much directly to me. And today I'm here to talk a little bit about the critical importance of building a global consensus when it comes to practices, and talk a little bit about what we should do to make practices interoperable and evolve them into best practices. Because it's really important that our community achieves the Ocean Decade goals by 2030, and that's pretty much comes down to best practices. And the vision of the Ocean Best Practice System is really to have agreed upon and broadly adopted protocols, best practices and standards in place for the whole community. And it's really broad. So what I mean by community is the whole ocean observation value chain, from stakeholders that deal with ocean research to stakeholders that deal with ocean operations, collecting samples, to data management, data dissemination, building models, analyzing the data, and even policy and communication. So we are actually dealing with all of these stakeholders and bringing best practices to them. So it's a huge effort. And to do this, to actually realize that mission and vision we are having in mind, our whole community really has to start to develop a sustained and evolving system. Evolving system is really important here because science and application and technology are constantly evolving and we have to evolve with them. What we also have to do is we have to foster collaboration within our community, because we don't want to duplicate efforts, and it has been done. We have to stop doing that. We really have to build a consensus, and we have to really innovate what we're doing. And I think one of the most important things is what the Ocean Best Practice System is trying to do, is that we provide a coordinated system to have a global access to best practices and standards. And that's really important to support our end users and stakeholders. That's what we all want, right? It's important to facilitate training. It's also what we all want. And it's important to capacity development, right? And when it comes to best practice, not a lot of people know what best practices are, so just I give you a little gist of what that means so we are all on the same page. So best practices are methods that consistent is a really important word, provide superior results compared to alternative methods that have the same scientific objective in mind, right? And to develop a practice into a best practice, what we really have to do, it has to be community reviewed, it has to be adopted, and it has to be used by multiple institutions. And when it comes to best practices, what a lot of people forget is that we have to understand that these documents are living, dynamic documents, because due to the community input, which is constantly evolving, and science and applications technology is constantly evolving, the best practices have to evolve with them. So the documents have to be updatable, and they have to be open for community feedback, because that means that we have to talk to our community from different backgrounds with different capabilities and capacities to actually change these best practices into something that they can use and they find relevant. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought, but now it comes to why are we using best practice, and I think it was really nice, it was talked about yesterday during the Ocean Prediction program quite a lot, is we really need best practices, because what it comes down to is that we want to increase interoperability, we want to foster trust, really important, and we want to facilitate the training of our community. And these three elements are incredibly important during the Ocean Decade if we want to have really broad participation and if we want to achieve our 2030 agenda goals. And I think increasing operability is really challenging at the moment, because one of the challenges we are facing is that we, in our community, have difficulties in harmonizing vocabulary, terminology, and capabilities. And only if we harmonize them are we able to truly share data with each other and to truly unlock the potential of ocean data that we have in the Ocean Decade. And the second challenge, which people overlook quite often, is that there's so many practices already out there. So there's a whole heap of practice out there, there's a huge noise, but people are constantly producing more practices, right? So what we really have to start doing is convergence and endorsement. Convergence means that we create one best practice out of the pool of fragmented practices, and endorsement is pretty much the process of the community, the end user, deciding that there's one practice that we use as the current standard. And I know that you realize that convergence is really important, but endorsement is so important for new community members and stakeholders, because they see this is an endorsed best practice that is used and globally relevant, and so they can follow it and produce really good data. And the GOOS and the Ocean Best Practice System has a process in place to make practices endorsed. So if you feel like one of your practices should be endorsed, you can come and talk to me. And I think the Ocean Best Practice System is really good because it builds a coordinated framework to address all these needs and challenges within our community. So just to give you a couple of examples, apart from the expertise we're having a permanent repository, so you can upload your best practices or just the practice into our system. And we have a peer-reviewed journal, so you can actually publish your best practices with us. We have an ambassador program to train the new generation of ECOPs, early career researchers, in best practices. We have a training program together with Otgar that Anna is going to talk about in a second. And we have an annual workshop where we bring the community together to discuss certain issues. And what is really important, I think, is that we have task teams available that address certain issues of best practices. So currently we have one on omics and DNA, and there's one on decision trees. And if you feel like there's another task team that you want to build, please talk to me and we can discuss on how we build this task team that you think is needed. And just to talk about a little bit about the direct links, between ocean best practices and Blue Cloud. I think Blue Cloud is very important because it focuses on best practices for data dissemination, data management, and interoperability. And it's a really important aspect of the ocean observation value chain. So we really have to, if we want to build an effective ocean observation value chain, we have to start talking to people that are part of this value chain, right? Because only if we talk to people and if we use harmonized terminology, if we use best practices, if we use standards, is our whole value chain fit for purpose and effective. And I think the Blue Cloud, I'm really happy that we have this partnership because we can help each other, because we are part of the same value chain and we can help each other. And yeah, that's the last word. And to come to your answer, I think the key best practices that we currently have, so we have more than 2,000 best practices in our repository at the moment, spanning the whole value chain of ocean observations, from ocean research to data dissemination. And when it comes to data management, we have 61 best practices in place that are directly related to data management, either with an application, so data management for Argo floats, gliders, and wave buoys, or for citizen science projects, or for monitoring programs. So we have data management guidelines in place for marine litter, for example. And when it comes to the global uptake, I think it's pretty obvious that pretty much all the programs are either using it, developing it, or are updating them. And one of the major programs that are doing this is Argo Floats, one of the best programs that are developing their own best practices, GOA-ON, which is the global ocean classification system, and IMOS I'm working for is the integrated marine observation system for Australia. And what we actually do at IMOS is that we require everyone that works for us in ocean observation and within the platforms to adhere to best practices. So they either have to develop them, they have to adhere to them, or they have to update them. So we actually keep the community on track to develop best practices all the time. And currently, just a couple of weeks ago, best practices for wave buoys came out. So our community is really active. I keep it at that.
Thanks a lot, Rebecca. Thanks. And continuing from your answer, then I'll give the floor to Carol and Greg. So how did training opportunities provided via the Ocean Teacher Global Academy contribute to improving ocean data management practices globally? And which specific skills or knowledge do they aim to share with their community?
Thank you, Sarah. I'll start working and then I'll pass the word to Greg. So first, I would like to raise this awareness of the need for an ocean of community of experts. What we have been seeing throughout the years is that there are several amazing projects and programs developing data management and sharing best practices, but we still lack a lot on expertise. So, and we see that on our daily lives. Many of the meetings are the same community working together, but we need that to go beyond. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to have standardized systems. We're not going to be able to have the community really using and understanding and building trust in this data and information. So it's very clear to us that training and capacity and building capacity within the community should be a priority in all the projects. And we are very happy to see this happening in Blue Cloud 26 and these partnerships and others around that we're going to highlight. And we still find it hard to find training available about data and data standards and best practices. So currently, and actually from the last many years, IOC UNESCO had led several of those trainings through the Data and Information Program and through Ocean Teacher, that we're going to talk more about that. But so those are still hosted and being developed by one community, which is great, but we really need to expand and to be able to that knowledge about data goes beyond and goes from regional, so that it can be built in Europe and for European applications, but it probably has an application beyond that. So we are here to address this importance and also to provide tools about it. One good news, so I'm not just here to say like problems and issues, things that we have to do. So Blue Cloud 2016 has engaged in this journey with Ocean Teacher Global Academy, and thanks for this partnership was powered by Ocean Best Practices Systems and also IEEE. And to build this academy focused on data and data principles and data sharing, it has started through a series of free webinars, which are hosted in Ocean Teacher in one part of the program, which is the e-learning platform, and this is going to be developed in a training course. And we are more than happy to share the progress and also invite the community to participate in the process and give inputs and provide expertise. Let me just not lose everything here that I wanted to say. So I already highlighted the importance about the regional initiative. So here we're saying about an European Commission fostered initiative, but this can go beyond, and those initiatives can be replicated in different regions, and UNESCO and IOC are doing a very good job to replicate and to provide the tools for that. And we are very proud to develop those trainings together with OBPS and with the Blue Cloud 2026. But we also have, so several of those experts that are involved or are going to be involved in this development have already built courses with Ocean Teacher in data. So we have those tools and to be available for everyone that wants to be part and to get expertise and train. So we are proud to have a list of core self-paced courses accessible online, free of charge to everyone that's willing to build capacity. And then Greg is going to tell more about those self-paced courses and also more about the tools available in Ocean Teacher.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Just to provide you a little bit more information about the Ocean Teacher Global Academy, it's an e-learning platform which is delivering around 50 training courses every year, mainly to support the IOC programs, the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO. So we have training courses on ocean data management, for example, on OBIS, on data best practices, harmful algal blooms, number of different courses. The Ocean Teacher Global Academy supports a global network of regional and specialised training centres. So we have 17 of these training centres around the world, providing mainly regional training. We also, in the last few years, obviously we moved to online training. So most of our courses are now delivered online, although we do some courses are on site, or some are blended as well. And also we started to deliver now self-paced courses. So these are courses that people can enroll in, they can do the course in their own time, and at the end of the course, if they're successful, they'll receive a certificate. So we've got roughly 10 of these self-paced courses now, including ocean data management, biological data management. So these courses have become quite popular. We have, at the moment, there's an ocean data management course running with about over 100 people enrolled in that course. So it's quite a successful platform. I just want to talk a little more about our contribution to Blue Cloud. As you know, Blue Cloud delivers a number of webinars. Webinars are all very interesting, but they're very static. So you sit and you watch a webinar. So what we're planning to do is to transform those webinars into a training course, so they're more interactive. And we can do that by including some of the videos from the webinar, but also we can have some interactive tools such as quizzes and things like that, which we can generate from the content of the webinars. So we're planning to do that with for some of the Blue Cloud webinars. So that will be an interesting concept for us to do. So that's basically it from me. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, it's pretty rewarding to hear this from the other side because, of course, from the Blue Cloud side, we are fully aware of the potential that we have thanks to this collaboration. But it's really rewarding to hear that the same is on your side. So we've started this session talking about, collaboration and the data availability must rely on collaboration. So I think this is one of the examples. Blue Cloud is working on data management aspects, not just, but one of the key components is verification, harmonization of data to turn them into products. And that's why we are delivering that not just to the European user base, but via the UNESCO, OBPS and OTGA Academy, we are delivering this series of materials and training to a broader audience. As Greg said, we have two, let's say the third one is coming on the 23rd of April, so you are still in time to register and you'll find a flyer at the end of the room to get more information. But then, as they also pointed out, we are changing a little bit the format to really give hands-on training on the tools that Blue Cloud is developing, not just on the methodologies that they are addressing, but really, it's the other side, sorry. They are building, so there's a novelty that will bring up probably before the summer. Yes, Carol.
So just if I want to highlight one thing that Greg said about the learning process in terms of those trainings. So these partnerships are very important also for the systems in place and the programs in place to improve and to build upon the infrastructure that is already available. So for instance, we have held several different trainings in different formats and different materials, but then now we're doing with transforming those webinars. And this can go beyond the impact of the partnership and the data sharing and can be then replicated within the region. So this is also one thing that why we invite to partner with UNESCO and IOC and with all of us, is because to make sure that those improvements are going to be available, it can be replicated beyond the project. It's never just going to stay as a punctual thing.
No, in fact, open science is at the basis of all the projects that you're listening to today. So that's the, of course, the underlying mantra that we have. So thanks all. Of course, if there are questions, we have a question time at the end, but feel free to raise any hand. Otherwise, we'll move on and towards the third discussion moment for today. So I'm not sure if we have enough seats.
No, I can get another seat.
It's a bit crowded. And I welcome Alain Arnaud from the Digital Ocean Department of Mercator Ocean International, and very timely, Dr. Fei Chai from the Xiamen University from China. So thanks, Greg, a lot. And so we conclude, we said we had a journey. So we started with the data management aspect, and then we're slowly moving into how to extend practices, best practices, towards the scientific community, but not just the scientific community, more the blue economy, I would say. So now we have two representatives of two programs that are putting effort and funding, I would also say, are supporting the realization of applications that will allow us to create real-time replicas of our seas. So I'll start by asking Hélène, so what are the key objectives of the European Digital Twin of the Ocean initiative, and how does it contribute to advancing ocean research and data management efforts?
So thank you for the question. So it's okay? Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. Nice to have the picture in the background. So as you can see, and maybe I've seen that a few times since yesterday. So sorry for the ones that are already bored by that. But What our objective is really to help in making more easy the access to the ocean science here. So we start with the enabling an easier access on the data themselves. Okay, so we have here the possibility by essence, by definition of our project. So first of all, what is this project? This project we're talking about is the underlying structure for the construction, the co-construction of the European digital twin. So we have that supported by an European project called EDITO. So we have two parts in the EDITO. One is called EDITO Infra. Infra is really to connect the pipes, and yeah, it has as a basis of a construction to be able to facilitate at least access to Copernicus data and to EMONNET data. So both the two big, let's say, services at European level to give access to marine data. And on top of that, to have the possibility to process your data, because today, yes, nice to have access, but you need to have the possibility to use them. So what we are doing here is to enable, beside, let's say, the standard catalog. So it's not just it's not a simple work to be able to provide a unified catalog for EMONNET and Copernicus, but also we have the possibility to give a catalog of applications here. So if you develop an application, a model, an ocean model, even if the model is using HPC resources, you can have that being made available through the EDITO platform. So for instance, in the EDITO Model Lab project, we have a few models that are being developed there, and applications, what-if scenarios that are made available through afterwards the platform of EDITO Infra. What else? What is interesting also to understand is our approach is not, just to give access to that, but there is a deep involvement of the community on that. It started by acknowledging that we have in Europe tens of marine projects every year in research, especially, and those represent a huge amount of citizen investment there, and just in terms of time, but also of money. And this is sometimes having a limited lifetime. So what you are trying to propose here is to give sustainability to those projects. So if you can install your project on the EDITO platform, you can share your results. So if you have developed a very nice system to do some specific measurement, you have seen before, the nice system with the artificial intelligence to recognize the fish on the camera. So you can install that on the EDITO platform, and afterward you can share that with the community through the platform. So I'm not sure it's possible. I don't know what's the question I wanted to ask. Is that how much is that reproducible if you go to another camera in another place? But we can discuss that later on. But this is a bit of the idea here. And so you can be involved with co-construction, because what you are providing here is just a basic substrate for that. And afterward, what is coming on top of that is coming for the community. And this community, we gather that every year in the Digital Ocean Forum. There will be the third one arriving soon in June, with the first, let's say, live presentation of the platform. And at each forum, we see this large number of European projects bringing the contribution in terms of need of data. I remember the first time someone came to me with a database of, especially of picture, underwater picture. So you need to be able to put that, in your database. Yes, it's not an easy thing to manipulate in terms of global, let's say, standardization of that. So those kind of changes are coming from those kind of, for the Digital Ocean Forum. I hope everyone is fine. So, and that's a bit of the idea. So we are here, and of course, this will be nothing if you are just centered on Europe. So we are proud to participate to the DITO program also, and also we are supporting the DCC on ocean prediction. So I think this will be a nice transition to you to discuss a bit how we can interact with this European basis with the rest of the nice initiative we have around the world and represented in DITO. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Fei Chai. I'm a professor at the Xiamen University of China. I apologize to my panel members and also the organizers. I'm double booked, and then I finished my first meeting at 5 and caught in traffic. I just made here. I'm so glad. I'm here to talk about a DITO, and then I've been involved with the DITO about 2 years ago with Martin Wisbach. And last November, Martin and I co-chaired the second the DITO International Summit in Xiamen. 450 people attended, 75 from overseas, from outside China. So it's really 3.5 days. It's really generated a lot of excitement and then energy. And most importantly, we brought in the different partners and then the computer science and the industry, the gaming industry, and et cetera. Several people in the audience, including Alan, were in Xiamen. So we really started like a community building. And I think that's the one message. The second part is really the data sharing, the architecture. Again, I think the DITO, the framework can be created at the different scales, on the global scale, on the regional scale, on the local scale. And then the larger the scale you want to create, and this digital twins of the system is harder because the data stream, the information, most importantly, the knowledge you create. So in order to prepare for this DITO summit in Xiamen, several of my colleagues and work with a couple of computer companies and the gaming companies, and then we worked together for about almost 9 months. We focus on Xiamen Bay. We have some other embayments. So Xiamen Bay is a coastal city, 5 million people, and it has beautiful coastlines, and then the water had some problems, issues, water quality in the past, but last 30 years keep improving. So we have a multiple observational platforms, and from the land sources, from the rivers, and to the bay, and we have the remote sensing, the microsatellites. The Xiamen University launched 2 microsatellites and specialized in the coastal water quality. And then we also have the moorings inside the bay. We work with Xiamen Ports. Xiamen Ports is the 13th, the largest container ports in the world, ranked number 7 in China. So we work with the port authorities and put some sensors on their navigation buoys. No one wants to mess up with the ports authority, right? So use that, and we mounted the cameras on the bridges, right? So we can see the water real time, firsthand. So this January, there is a Nautiluca bloom. We were able to see it, and from our cameras, right? So based on the Xiamen Bay, all this the information and the detailed modeling, we talk about a tens of meters resolution, real time, and the circulation and the water quality modeling. We were able to put them all together in this DITO framework. It's a nice animation, and then I wish I can show it, but no, that's not allowed. One emotional. So with this, a beautiful animation, the framework, we focus on really this 4 applications. First, we established this DITO framework. That person in the middle is really a machine learning AI. You ask her a question, that person over there can answer it. So it's not just visualization, is big data, is artificial intelligence. It's built into it. So we work with the ports and the authorities, and as I mentioned, and we work very closely with them. So the typhoon forecasting, etc. The lower part is really the storm surge. And then some of the areas under the typhoon, the storm surge, and certain streets got flooded. We were able to see it firsthand. And also there's marine debris, the litters, that they send out the people and on the boat, on the beach to collecting those marine litters. So we use this framework, can track down where the litter come from, where those concentrated, so we were able to send the people to collecting them. So this is really the parts. You create this, a detailed framework with the users in mind, and they not only use it, they also provide the data back to you. So this is one example. So we have others, such as like aquaculture, et cetera, et cetera. So again, I think the detail come with the different scales, and then as small as one embayment, you can zoom out to a region, and then maybe the Mercator Ocean on the global scale. With that, I stop.
Thanks. So you mentioned that one of the challenges of the DITO program is the size, because when you go bigger and bigger, of course, the challenges increase. DITO has a series of working groups to tackle some specific aspects of digital twins. One relates to data lakes and interoperability. So what are the challenges there at a global level and downstream in the European level? Yeah.
Oh, Alan, you start.
So thank you. Yeah, it's as mentioned, you know, what's important here. I'm quite often taking the example of what happened to us with system like Google and everything that is having a success like that is you need to adapt your standard. So when you manipulate large amount of data like that, you need to adapt your standard to the user needs. I think this is very important. It's very difficult to have let's say a top-down approach here and to decide that a format is the one to be followed coming from just a decision at a very high level. So you see that, for instance, it's very interesting those days. We see that besides the different standard we are using for the data manipulation, we have standards appearing just because the community are using them, and they are not coming from any specific working group. So we need to be flexible with that, and especially when you work at global level, because every time you will have to be focusing. It was mentioned from the beginning, most of the network of for data acquisition, in situ data are coming from national initiatives, and they quite often come with national standards and specific way to describe the different variables. Not talking about the units, but you understand easily that this is complex. So at one moment, we need to be able to make that interoperable. And when you want to work at global level, as we mentioned before, we need to be able in your global model to integrate all the data, in situ data, satellite data, and any kind of data you can get to Nutrish, for instance, a model. So this is the main complexity, and those kind of working group are really helping for that. And what is helping here is really it's coming normally from people that are working day to day with the data themselves. So I think it's really helping to see that coming from the bottom, and really to see what are the natural best practices, as mentioned before, that are appearing here, because else it's more difficult when you have this top-down approach. Thank you.
I agree with Alan on this. I think standardization is the key. And then not only the data format and multiple sources, but it also the architecture of the detailed framework. And now people develop on their own. It's kind of Wild West for now in a way. There's some protocols for the working group. I think we need to really engage the different working group members, and in the way not only just talk through the Zoom, but we really need to establish the person-to-person, the meetings, and that need the resources, that need the projects. I think that EU is leading the way, invested, and then for the detailed framework, the other countries and regions is catching up, and then China is actively involved, but we don't have a detailed project itself. I think we need to engage with the data center, the national and the different data center, because after all, they exist for a very long time. I think we need to engage them. That's the one part of it. The second part is really the ownership of the data. And then when you talk about the data sharing, and then people getting nervous, and then especially working with the Xiamen different agencies, you can imagine, right? And then I think maybe one way is to let the data in the distributed mode. Let them have the data as long as they have the door open and we can access it, instead of combining all the data in one place. And that is really, I think, the trust issues. I think that's another part. This is maybe more technical. Again, I think with this new DITO steering committee, I hope we can meet some of the members here this week. We certainly will engage more actively with the working groups, and hopefully we'll have some fundings for their travels and their time and spend together. So there's the hope.
Thanks. In fact, I had a question, but you've already responded. What are your suggestions to ensure and promote cross-global data sharing? But I think that's one of the mechanisms that you put in place. I don't know if you want to comment on any of these aspects. I was seeing you nodding, so maybe from the European side, looking at what, I mean, the practices that we have brought in place now to put people together in Europe at least and discuss about data harmonization.
No, I think DTO is, in fact, a fantastic but also very challenging development. And also my feeling is that you have to start at the region level, in fact, not at the global level, but at the region level, because you need so much data and also so detailed data from different sources that it's almost impossible to start it from the global perspective. But of course, many regions build the global. And that's what we see. We see now also in Europe, we see many regions that are working on DTOs for specific, let's call it specific problems or whatever, certain statuses that they have. And that really opens the door to many other providers, which we have never been in our circles before. And I think you give a very good example here in these slides, that you need a lot of socioeconomic data, you need industry data, and it's not only the government or let's say the research institutes that bring the data together. And if you look at our global X so far, let's say not in DTO, but say in data sharing, of course we are fully based upon the governmental and the research institutions, and the industry is now getting on board, but they're not fully on board. But if they come on board, they do it more in, let's call it in the open waters or in the let's say the international waters, but they don't bring us, let's say, local details yet. And I think, like I say, DTO is a big challenge. It has a lot of promises, of course, because we really have to go there. Also, I like that you talked about gaming, because that's also a direction I see. Let's say it's decision support is, if you make it turn into a game, is for science, but also for decision makers, it's much more visible and much more intuitive. And they can make decisions and they can see that it's like a game. You're fully engaged, immersed, in fact, in that work. And that's also something that we also in Europe, let's say, there are several calls, let's say, going in that direction, using, for instance, Unity as a game engine, let's say, to make reality and gaming one. and that's why I said, you need so much data, and to have access to all this data is much more than we ever envisioned and what we do right now. And therefore, I think the strength would be if we can mobilize a lot of regional cells, of course, with a framework, let's say a global framework or a European framework, and this way invest in this. Then we build, we have bricks by which we realize, let's say, the total. And I'm always a favor of the pyramid. The pyramid is my favorite model. And also in this case, again, let's say start from at the bottom and then build it up. But with the, of course, with the top-down vision, for sure. But that's just my opinion, okay, personal.
Thanks. So we have 10 minutes for some questions. Actually, we have one that comes from one of our followers online, and it's for Rebecca mainly. So they're asking, is there a formal process to reach consensus or endorse best practices? And if so, what is it? Or can anybody call his practice best practice?
There are indeed criteria. Shall I use this? So that people online can hear me. There are indeed criteria in place, so not anyone can call a practice a best practice. We have 7 criteria that are on our website. One of them is that the practice has to be used by multiple organizations. And you have to show evidence that that is actually happening. A practice has to undergo community review, so it can't just be a paper that you publish and it's peer-reviewed. It's an actual community review, and also you have to show us evidence about this. And there are several other criteria that you have to comply to. And one very important one that I also mentioned in my talk is that your best practice, you have to have a plan in place to update and review your practice regularly, because like I said, we're constantly evolving in science and applications and technology, and your best practice has to evolve with it, right? And the same goes for the endorsement. Like at the moment, we only have an endorsement in place for Goose, and they're quite strict on what practices they endorse. But the Ocean Best Practices system has now just last week, we have put our own endorsement process into place. So we give every institution in the world the opportunity to endorse their own best practices, because we realize that a lot of institutions and programs can't fulfill the Goose requirements because they're really, really strict. But when it comes to regional levels, I think, or we realize it's totally fine when institutions endorse locally or regionally their own best practices. So again, you can just go to our website and you see the endorsement process. And it's pretty similar to the best practice process, but you just as an institution has to show us what capacities and capabilities you have to actually be able to endorse practice. But again, you have to show us evidence that you are an institution that can do so.
Any other questions for our speakers? No? So I think we are ready for our cocktail, which is waiting outside already. So a special thank to our speakers, starting from Andreas Strachinescu, Greg Reed, Fei Chai, Alain Arnaud, and Carol Matsuko, Rebecca Zitoun, Oriel Pratt, and Dix Harp. Thanks a lot, and let's stay with us for another half an hour. We kindly ask those who haven't yet to sign the signature sheet that you'll find at the entrance, please.